going to mix some grains and then set them out for tomorrow. Thought I'd bring you along. Enjoy. Oats, barley, wheat, Milo or sorghum, field peas, 8 pounds of oats, $16 pounds for a double batch. This will be used for the sheep and the pigs, and in the summertime for the chickens, but the chickens aren't eating the oats in the winter. So I'm not giving them oats in the winter. I'll give them some sunflower seeds, some black oil sunflower seeds, and I'll even mix in some rye. I have some rye for all the animals, and then every once in a while I'll throw in some corn, some whole organic whole corn. $8 pounds of barley, or 16 for a double batch. We keep these bags to use in the garden. These are paper bags, and we can use them in the garden for our no-till. We keep these. The oats are the lightest. The barley is heavier, so you'll use less volume for the same weight. Which also tells me the barley is a little bit more dense than oats. Probably not news to anyone who already knows this stuff. Wheat. This is the organic chicken wheat from Azure. We use it as a general purpose wheat. 4.5 pounds or 9 pounds for a double batch. And then the Milo or sorghum or the field peas, you have 4.5 pounds also. During the winter, these are the main sources of protein, especially the field peas. So I like to give them more protein. So I'll probably do something like 7 pounds of both. Instead of 9 pounds of one of them, or 4.5 of each, I'll do like 7 of each. So they'll get 14 pounds of the protein grains versus 9 pounds of the main protein grains. The wheat is also good for protein, but the field peas have the most, and the Milo also has a good amount. $7 pounds of field peas. These are from a local supplier. These field peas are from Azure. Whole field peas from Azure. Grain sorghum or Milo from Azure also. I'll put links to these below. If you're not a part of Azure already, use our link and we'll get a credit for you signing up. But if you are part of Azure, then these are just a reference for these. I didn't even know these existed on Azure at first. This sorghum or Milo also adds a little bit of a color difference, just a little bit. It's gonna be hard to tell in there. It's just a little bit. I'll show you a close-up of all of these. So So that gives us 50 pounds. Okay? If you did 8 pounds, 8 pounds, 4.5, 4.5, that's 25 pounds. So 16, 16, 32, plus 9 and 9, if you did the regular 9 and 9 of the field peas and Milo, that would give you 50 pounds. So this is a 50 pound batch. I'm just going to mix it all in and then do another batch on top of it. If anybody has any great ideas on how to mix this stuff up, feel free to comment. That gets a little bit tiresome. Here we go again, a little bit faster this time. Oh, I'm sorry, I messed that up earlier. If we do a double batch for 50 pounds, then we do 16 pounds of oats, 16 pounds of barley, 9 pounds of wheat, and then you would do the 9 pounds of either field peas or Milo sorghum, or you could split it and do a little bit more proteins like I'm doing. So I'm putting 7 pounds of Milo and 7 pounds of field peas. So I'm ending up with 55 pounds total. If you tracked my math there, hopefully it ended up right. And here you go, I'll show you this. This up close. Maybe you could see this well enough. This is the wheat. These longer ones here are the oats. Longer ones here are the oats. These shorter ones that look like oats are actually barley. This is the Milo or the sorghum. These are the field peas. These are the easiest to point out. So wheat, barley, oats, Milo sorghum, and field peas. Save these azure bags also for the garden. If you want to see what we do with these bags in the garden, I'll leave a link in the description and maybe a link up here that shows how we prepped our first no-till garden. So that's 100 pounds, and we use these for, it's the main feed for the pigs, but it's only a supplemental feed so that we can give the minerals and the vitamins, the supplements that we want, like apple cider vinegar and garlic and molasses and the sheep minerals. And we put those in for the sheep, maybe not even a half cup per sheep. It probably comes out to less than that. And we just put those out every other day or so, just to give them the minerals that we want them to have. In the future, we'll look into the ABC minerals that Justin Rhodes and Jeff Lawton, these guys talk about, and maybe we'll get to that point later. We're still trying to learn. The chickens are a continual experiment for us right now, but they seem to like the barley, the field peas, the wheat. They don't like the oats right now, at least during the winter they don't. And the Milo and the black oil sunflower seeds, they like those, and they're good for their feathers and proteins, good oils, good fats for them. And then the corn, sometimes I'll add in some whole corn into the sheep or the pigs, just depending on the day. Maybe just add a little bit in. I soak them also. And I'll show you the basics of what I do there. And that reduces the feed cost. I know Justin Rhodes has talked about that before. And the rye. I actually meant to mix in some rye. Kind of forgot about that. But that's okay. Just throw it in there sometimes. It's just a good additional alternative grain for them. Has some good protein also. Corn, rye, and the black oil sunflower seeds. Sometimes I also add in, especially during the winter, the pigs don't like the alfalfa, the pellets, the organic alfalfa pellets that you can get from Azure. But I think they kind of eat them, it's just a little more reluctant. That's the last bit left in the bowls. But the sheep really like it. It's a good protein, it's a good green for them. And the chickens also. Chickens also like the alfalfa. 8 pounds of barley. In the wheat, I'll do 8 pounds. 5 pounds of Milo. Sorghum. I'll do 5 pounds of peas. 8 plus 8 plus 5 plus 5. That gives us 26. And then we'll do 4 pounds of rye. We'll do 2 pounds of corn. And 2 pounds of black oil sunflower seeds. So that was 26, 30 pounds, so 34 pounds. This is a 34 pound batch. We'll mix it up. I don't know if you can see that. Looks like a nice colorful blend of grains, huh? It's nice. This one will last us a couple weeks. This one will last us a week or so, week and a half. So the chickens was, and I'll put these notes below. Chickens, we put 8 pounds of barley, 8 pounds of wheat, 5 pounds field peas, 5 pounds of Milo or sorghum. That gets us to 26. And then 4 pounds of rye, and then 2 pounds of corn, and 2 pounds black oil sunflower seeds. 34 pounds. Good. And then I'll just make some more to top these off, and I'll speed up the rest of it. Next up, I'll show you how I soak the grains. And this translates into almost double the volume. So it's easier for them to digest, and you have to feed them less. That sounds like a win-win to me. So it reduces your costs, and it's better for the animals, easier for them to digest. They get more nutrition out of it. That's a good to me. It's almost like the Italians. That's a good to me. That's a good to me. Chickens right now are the easiest one for me to specify how much I put in there. I have 20 chickens total, so I give them about a half a cup per day. And one day I'd like to do the Justin Rhodes method of feeding them with compost completely and stuff, and I'm not there yet. So for now, I give them organic whole grains, and that way and I like the mixing, and I like the whole grains. I think it's better for them. I don't know a lot about the science, so we give them the minerals also. The commercial feed would have a lot of that stuff in it, or all that stuff in it. I believe that the whole grains are better all the way around, and what they don't eat goes back in the ground. It can sprout into the pasture, and it can grow. So any of these things that I have, if they germinated and just got worked into the soil, they can. And the chickens, if they don't digest them, they poop them out, and they fertilize and plant stuff. They plant the seeds all over the pasture. So that's my hope. That's part of why we're doing this. So I'll show you what I do to soak them. I'm going to put them in there, and I'll just fill it up. I'll fill up the water. The more grains there are, the higher up, because the grains will expand more. I'll add some corn like I was talking about for this one. This case is for the pigs. Just add some in there. The field peas will expand the most. They'll soak up the most water. So if you have something heavy in field peas, you can add more water because they'll just soak up and it'll be almost twice as big. The whole level of grains in there will be almost twice as big. And we use filtered water, so they're not getting the chlorine and fluoride. Those are the two big ones for me. I mix it around, just a touch. Just to loosen things up. Let the water get in there real nice. And then I cover them with a bucket like this. Maybe like this. Just cover them, let them sit overnight, or depending. I've even experimented with letting it sit for 2 nights. But it depends on how warm it is. I'd really like to get into sprouting the seeds also, which I think is even better, more nutritional value, and even easier to digest for them. But I haven't figured that out quite yet. There are some good articles out there about sprouting, and I think I just have some room temperature issues and such that I'm working on. So cover them up, leave them the next morning. It'll be expanded. It'll go from this high to this high, and you'll have your soaked grains. That's it. Next up, we'll take some inventory of the grains that we need to order for the next Azure order, which is coming up, and then the local feed supply place, which carries the organic grains that I either don't want to get from Azure for various reasons or can't get from Azure. So inventory is next, and then that's it. So we have all of our feeds mixed. Those will last us for a week or two, depending. If I make bigger batches, it'll last 2 or 3 weeks. And it's kind of fun to get in there and work it with your hands. It takes a little bit of time, but I think it's worth it for the whole grains, and I hope it's worth it. So if you've wondered what to do, or you're looking for a recipe for how to feed your sheep or pigs or chickens, we use the main base recipe is pretty similar between the three. During the summer, we fed the same recipe to the chickens because they would eat the oats. And I only changed that this winter when I saw that they weren't eating the oats. Those were just spread on the ground. And we don't want to waste any of the seed. And so, I'm not feeding the oats. But for the most part, we use all the same grains for all the animals. And that helps us to not have to buy so many different things for all the animals. The exception here is the chickens, where we're using the black oil sunflower seeds, a little bit more of the rye. But I've mixed in some rye on that last batch for the pigs and sheep as well. And they would be fine there. We plan to raise turkeys this year also, and ducks, and they're all going to be using the same supplies and mixing the feeds as we need to. So be encouraged. And if you haven't done it before but you're thinking about it, give it a try. Give it a try. You'll probably find out things that are much better than what I have here. This is a recipe that I have from someone who had a recipe, and so I'm trying it and seeing what works. And so far, the animals are mostly healthy. We haven't had any health issues that we've known about anyway, and we're encouraged. So be encouraged, and hope you've enjoyed watching along as we've done the grains today. See you next time.